Alexander stared at Sophia, his mind a maelstrom of emotions. She met his gaze with quiet dignity, her soft eyes brimming with sincerity. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes. I never meant to intrude on your parenting. If I offended you, I apologize." Her voice trembled slightly, betraying the fear that gnawed at her. "No, it's not that. How could he explain the turmoil within him? 3 years of solitude had turned into an icy landscape around his heart. He'd buried himself in his work, convinced that was the only way to honor Amelia's memory. But now he saw that he'd inadvertently wounded the one person who still mattered to him. "Ethan. It's my fault," he whispered, hating the tremor in his own voice. "I haven't been present enough. For him." Sophia's gaze softened. "You work tirelessly for your companies, Mr. Hayes. I understand that you love him very much." Alexander looked away, unable to meet her compassionate eyes. "I do," he murmured, the word catching in his throat. "But how do I show him? How do I make him feel loved?" Silence descended once more, thick with unspoken understanding. Sophia knew that only one answer could mend the fractured bond between father and son, but voicing it would be like shattering a fragile vase. It was a risk, but someone had to take that chance. So she ventured a suggestion, her voice barely a whisper. "Sir, perhaps you could try spending more time with him, playing, laughing, sharing stories." Alexander lifted his head, a sliver of hope flickering in his eyes. Could it be that simple? To laugh, to play? The thought seemed foreign, yet achingly familiar, like a half-forgotten dream. "But I haven't done that in so long," he admitted, his voice hoarse with disuse. Sophia offered him a gentle smile. "It's never too late, sir. A little patience, a lot of love. You can do this." Her words were like a balm to his wounded spirit. In that moment, Alexander Hayes, the man who had it all but lost his way, found a compass pointing him towards redemption. The next morning, Alexander woke with purpose. He dressed not in his usual tailored suits, but in a soft cotton shirt and comfortable slacks. Today, he decided, no board meetings, no financial reports, only Ethan. As he walked into the living room, he saw them, his boy and Sophia, engrossed in a board game. A smile tugged at his lips. The sight of Ethan, cheeks flushed with excitement, was more heartwarming than any million-dollar deal. "Morning, sleepyhead," Alexander said, kneeling beside them. Ethan beamed, his crutches forgotten in the corner. "Dad, you're playing with us today?" Alexander chuckled, ruffling the boy's hair. "Of course, champ. We're gonna beat you." "No fair, Dad," Ethan protested with a mock glare. And so they played. Hours slipped by like minutes. Alexander laughed, truly laughed, for the first time in years. He won, of course, but let Ethan pick the next game. By the time they stopped, his heart was full, his spirit lighter. He pulled Ethan into a tight hug. "You know, champ, you have the best Tia Sophia," he said, glancing at the young woman who was watching them with a faint smile. "She does, Dad," Ethan agreed, snuggling into his father's shoulder. "She makes me happy." That was all that mattered. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the room, Alexander knew that nothing would ever be the same. He'd found the missing piece of his heart, not in wealth or power, but in laughter, love, and a little girl named Sophia. The road ahead might still hold challenges, but now he wasn't alone. He had his son, his loyal employee, and a glimmer of hope for the future. The silence that settled around them was no longer empty. It was filled with the echoes of joy, the promise of healing, and the unwavering bond of a father and son reunited. After the revelation about Sophia's extraordinary abilities, the dynamics in the house changed. Every morning, Alexander found himself captivated by the sight of Sophia, patiently guiding Ethan through his exercises. "How long have you been training with him?" Alexander asked quietly. "About 6 months, sir," Sophia replied. "I use my breaks. I never neglect my work." "And you don't get paid extra for this?" "No, sir. I never expected anything. I just enjoy spending time with Ethan." Alexander studied her. "Where did you learn this?" Sophia hesitated before confessing. "My younger brother, Carlos, was born with weak legs. I spent my childhood helping him through therapy. When I saw Ethan, I couldn't stand by and do nothing." Her voice softened. "The boy is very lonely, sir. A child should laugh every day." Alexander froze. He suddenly realized he couldn't even remember the last time Ethan had truly laughed. He asked carefully, "Sophia, why are you working as a maid? With this knowledge, you could have been a therapist." She smiled faintly, tinged with sadness. "I have no degree, sir. I learned everything from caring for my brother. But I have to work to support my family, my mother and Carlos. We just scrape by." For the first time, Alexander saw Sophia not as a servant, but as a young woman carrying the weight of her family and still giving hope to his son. That night, Alexander canceled his meetings for the first time in his career. The next morning, he stayed home to watch Ethan train in the garden. Sophia guided the boy with gentle patience, encouraging him to stretch, balance, and try again after every stumble. 15 seconds. 25. 30. Sophia counted as Ethan stood without his crutches. "Dad, did you see?" Ethan shouted, his face glowing with pride. Alexander swept him into his arms, tears welling in his eyes. "I saw, my boy, and I'm so proud of you." From that day forward, everything changed. Alexander no longer left at dawn. He began having breakfast with Ethan, sitting in the garden for morning practice, and watching the boy's determination grow stronger every day. Sophia became more than just a housekeeper. She became the heart of the home. As weeks turned into months, Alexander noticed a change in Sophia. Her confidence grew, not just in her interactions with Ethan, but in how she carried herself. It was like she blossomed as a person, shedding some of the timidity that had initially drawn him to her. He found himself increasingly drawn to her, admiring her strength and resilience. However, he was acutely aware of the boundaries they were both upholding. His world revolved around business and philanthropy, while Sophia seemed to exist solely for Ethan's well-being. There was a chasm between their lives, and he knew that attempting to bridge it would be inappropriate. Or was it? One day, while walking through the park, they stumbled upon a group of children playing. One of them fell, and Alexander noticed Sophia's immediate reaction. She rushed to the child's side, kneeling down to examine his scraped knee. The boy burst into tears, and without hesitation, Sophia used her handkerchief to clean the wound, offering words of comfort and reassurance. The child's cries subsided, replaced by a grateful smile as he took the handkerchief, wiping away his tears. When the other children started to tease him, Sophia stood up, her gaze unwavering. "Leave him alone. Someday you might need help, and I hope someone will treat you with the same kindness you're showing this boy," she said firmly. Alexander, who had been observing her, felt an unexpected surge of admiration. In that moment, he realized that Sophia wasn't just a caregiver or a maid. She was a woman with depth, compassion, and a strong sense of justice. He saw the way she effortlessly connected with the child, understanding his fears and comforting him with a gentleness that belied her own hardships. It made him question the walls he had built around himself. Perhaps there was more to life than his relentless pursuit of success. Perhaps there was room for love and kindness too. As they walked home, Alexander pondered these thoughts. He couldn't shake off the image of Sophia standing up for the young boy, her eyes blazing with righteous anger. He knew he had to do something, not for his own happiness, but to honor the extraordinary woman who had touched his son's life and his own in ways he had never imagined. The proposal that changed her life. One evening, Alexander called Sophia into his study. "Sophia," he said, his voice softer than she had ever heard it, "what you've done for Ethan goes far beyond your duties. I want you to become his official therapeutic companion. No more cleaning floors, only helping Ethan. And I'll sponsor your education, every cost, so you can become a licensed therapist." Sophia froze, her eyes wide. "Why would you do this, sir?" "Because my son needs you," Alexander replied, "and because you deserve the chance to pursue your gift." Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "I promise, sir, I won't let you down." In the grand ballroom of a palatial mansion, a celebration was in full swing. Twinkling lights reflected in the crystal glasses, raised in a toast to the billionaire, Alexander Hayes. Cheers echoed around him, but his gaze was distant, lost in memories. Exactly 1 year ago, this very house had been a prison for him, each room a tomb of sorrowful memories. His world had crumbled when his wife left him, taking their 6-year-old son, Ethan, with her. But fate intervened when he met Sophia, a maid who saw beyond his wealth and status, who understood his pain. With gentle persistence, she chipped away at his despair, reminding him of life's beauty. She showed him that even amidst the darkness, hope could bloom. Slowly he began to heal, drawn to Sophia's radiant spirit like a moth to a flame. Then came the day that changed everything. Ethan returned, not as the frail boy he remembered, but as a young man ready to take on the world. Yet there was a shadow hanging over him, a grim prediction from doctors that chilled him to the bone. Ethan had just months to live. Determined to honor his son's remaining time, Alexander made a promise to Ethan, vowing to make every moment count. And in fulfilling this promise, he found an ally in Sophia, who shared his resolve. Together, they embarked on a journey, seeking out specialists and exploring every possible avenue for Ethan's treatment. But as the weeks passed, the reality of Ethan's condition grew more dire. The experimental treatments failed, leaving them with only one last resort, a risky surgery with a success rate of only 5%. Hope seemed to evaporate, leaving behind a heavy silence. It was during this dark time that Sophia surprised them both. Without a word of complaint, she had trained tirelessly, determined to give Ethan a chance at life. She had taken up rock climbing as she believed that conquering new heights would symbolize conquering his illness. And as the entire family stood at the foot of the rock face, watching her ascend, a newfound determination filled their hearts. When Sophia reached the top, Alexander looked at her with admiration and gratitude. He knew that while she might not be a doctor or a scientist, she possessed something far more valuable, an indomitable spirit that refused to surrender in the face of adversity. At the gala, when Alexander brought Ethan and Sophia along, society's whispers turned sharp. "Strange," a guest murmured, "a billionaire letting a maid influence his family." Sophia lowered her head in shame, but Ethan squeezed her hand and whispered, "Don't be sad, Sophia. You're the best." Alexander overheard. He turned to the crowd, his voice firm. "That woman achieved what money and doctors could not. She gave my son hope. If you cannot respect that, then we have nothing more to discuss." The room fell silent. In the weeks that followed, Sophia stayed by Ethan's side, guiding him through small victories. Then one crisp morning, the miracle happened. "Today, you'll walk without crutches," Sophia said gently. Ethan's eyes flickered with fear. "Dad, do you think I can?" Alexander knelt, opening his arms. "I know you can, son." With trembling steps, Ethan let go of his crutches. 1, 2, 3, and then he stumbled into his father's embrace. "I did it! I walked!" Ethan shouted, laughing through tears. Alexander held him tight. "My boy, you're incredible." Sophia's eyes glistened as she whispered, "I saw, little warrior. You truly triumphed." From that day on, the mansion was no longer empty. It was filled with laughter, training sessions, and love. Ethan often giggled. "We're a dream team. Dad's the superhero, Sophia's the coach, and I'm the little warrior." And in Alexander's heart, something long buried began to awaken: hope, warmth, and love. One quiet evening under the stars, Alexander turned to Sophia. "For years I thought my life was over, but you brought me back. You gave Ethan joy, and me, life again. Sophia, I can't deny it anymore. I love you." Sophia shook her head, tears streaming. "I'm just a maid. People will never accept it." "I don't care about people," Alexander said firmly. "You are not just part of my family. You are the heart of it." Her tears spoke louder than words, and in that silence, love was born. Months later, in the garden where Ethan had taken his first steps, Alexander took Sophia's hand. "Sophia, I once thought the most valuable things were skyscrapers and deals, but I was wrong. The most valuable thing is family. Will you marry me?" Her tears spilled as she whispered, "Yes." Their wedding was simple, but full of warmth. Ethan, in a tiny suit, proudly walked Sophia down the aisle. "Today, I give you to Dad," he said with a beaming smile. And as Alexander and Sophia exchanged vows, Ethan clapped his hands and shouted, "Now we really are a dream team." Laughter filled the air, mingled with tears of joy. That night, beneath a sky full of stars, the Hayes family began a new chapter, not of wealth or status, but of love, trust, and healing. Because sometimes miracles don't come from riches, they come from the human heart.